Let everyone know why the creation of the noisy chair happened? Well, people wanted to share their story, concerns, and being loud. Well, I'm here to listen, have an opinion, and talk to people. That's what this is all about. My name is Dave, aka DJ Dave. Love being part of a new journey with amazing people on my podcast. Welcome, everybody, to this edition of the Noisy Chair Podcast, episode 209. And I would like to welcome a great friend of mine and a super talented DJ and producer, Sara Sims. Sara, thank you for stopping by tonight.
Thank you so much for having me on your podcast.
I think this is the second one we did so far, and
Yes.
I know a lot has happened, and I think tonight, I want to just I like for everyone to get to know you, so we're gonna do like a little Q&A. We'll keep it nice and short and sweet so that people know about you and what's going on in Sara Sims DJ life and production life. How's that?
It sounds great.
Perfect. All right. I know we talked about, I think I saw some posts that you shared on your feed about, I guess just visas going up in price for any artists that want to travel and do shows. I took to a little bit of research on it, and to be honest with you, I mean, it's so like it's not even a definitive answer on what it costs, but I know that prices are going up, and for anybody who's traveling, flights alone are expensive, and then you're going to go and the hotels and everything, but the visas are going to be expensive to come across any border or any crossing, Europe, US. So, I mean, I thank you for sharing that, because I didn't know how much it was actually going to cost, but there's a lot of information that people, I think that if DJs or producers are traveling, they should really focus on finding out, this type of news from their, I guess, on the internet. Just find out what's going on, because prices are jumping up.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's important, I think, for the artists to be aware of that. Also for promoters and booking agents in the US and people who book in the US as well to be aware of that as well.
I know,
So
it's crazy.
it's already challenging enough, as a Canadian artist to play in the States, but it's certainly not going to be any easier moving forward.
No.
So
we have to make it easier for us. I mean, I know prices have gone up in everything from our interest to our food to our fuel to everything has gone up in price. And we're gonna have to cope with it. We're gonna have to deal with it. So obviously we're gonna try to find ways to make it happen, and it will happen. We just got to find different alternatives and different ways of making it work.
Absolutely.
Whether it's 2 or 3 jobs on the go, or whatever it may be, it's got to happen. So it'll happen for all of us. So perfect. Well, listen, on a good note, tonight I just want to share with everybody about you, Sara. So we're going to talk about you, and I just want to let everybody know that Sara Sims is a super talented DJ and producer, and she is and a huge music lover, and we got to know each other over the years, and we worked together and on a few things, and I'm happy you're here tonight just to talk about you and want everyone to know about you, Sara. So let's go.
Okay.
Not to put you on the spot, but okay, so we're gonna do like a small Q&A just so everyone knows who you are, and we're gonna start. So listen, Sara, what inspired you to pursue a career in music production and DJing?
Well, I have to say it was a big accident. I'm actually a trained jazz guitar player, and I started off in music studying guitar, and for all intents and purposes, I thought that's what I was going to be focusing on in life. And then I went to a rave one day, and my whole future kind of changed. I saw the DJ up on stage, and I was like, "Oh, that looks so cool." I would love to be doing that. And
Oh man.
DJing was never meant to be a career for me. It started off just purely as a hobby. And I never really thought about when I first started, like the future, what's going to happen.
Right.
It just kind of evolved into a career.
Hmm. And like, I mean, that's a big jump from learning an instrument to like wanting to DJ a massive, massive audience, right? And I think music is always in your blood. And what age was that around? You figure you can tell us.
When I started when I was 18 or 19.
Okay, awesome. Hmm. That's really good. I remember seeing, not old footage, but like footage from way back when about you were using, because I guess there was a lot of you were using, I think, a Wii controller to control something while you're doing it, because you're getting in you were a turntablist and you were trying to, not trying, you actually had things going so smoothly. How did you, like, what did you do to get that Wii converter? Like, what were you trying to do there?
Oh, that was there was a script that actually another Canadian DJ named Jeff Milligan wrote. So that was a script to control Serato. He had written a script
Oh, wow.
for Serato, and you could put it on Nintendo Wii.
That is so cool, man. I didn't even knew
Yeah.
that.
No,
Wow.
it was, pretty, like, not well known, right? But I saw him using it and I was like, "That's awesome. I have
Yeah.
to use this." And actually, we almost had a business venture at one point, like
Wow.
selling his Nintendo Wii scripts, but it just, one of those projects didn't quite make it off the ground.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Great ideas just didn't fly, right? So it's like any business that always happens like that. But what sort of challenges have you faced in the music industry so far?
Challenges?
Yeah.
Well, there's like the biggest challenge is always like, how am I gonna carry my gear into the club?
We always struggle with that. That's big. That's a good point, man. That's a great
That's
answer, you know?
that's the biggest challenge in the whole business, you
Yeah.
know?
Oh
If you
yeah.
can get your stuff to the club, the rest is easy.
I know. I know. And I think all some clubs just have it so that you can just plug in or USB it, like a USB stick,
Yeah.
and with CDJs, and away you go. But listen, I mean, we're hustling to get gigs, and we're doing it on our own. We have to lug around the equipment and everything, right? I mean, so yeah, I I get it. I would love to have it where it's like, you can arrive and just plug in and away you go. You know, that's the best way to do it.
Well, you can have that if you want it.
Right. There is actually a company that I'm gonna put a plug in it. I think it's I'm not too sure. You know what? It's a friend of mine who has a audio visual company, and he does that. He actually provides you the equipment. So if you're going to a gig and you say,
Mhm.
listen, I'm gonna do a party for like a couple hundred people. I'm gonna bring just my laptop. This company will set you up everything, the audio visual, the speakers, the sound, the controller, everything you need. You just put your laptop in and away you go. And he's really reasonable, to be honest with you, really reasonable.
Okay, very
Yeah.
cool.
So I'll share that with you after the podcast, because I'll send it to you on an email, because it honestly, I hate lugging the equipment around. It's just takes away a lot of energy out of you when you want to set everything up, and it's like, oh man, and you're sweating, especially on a hot day, and like, oh my god, this is ridiculous.
Mhm.
Um, what has been some of your career highlights? This would be interesting, of DJing.
Well, one that comes to mind was I had this one last minute gig. It was in Miami, and it was during Miami Music Week. A friend couldn't make it, and he asked me to play last minute, and it was a broadcast for Allen and Heath, the mixer company.
Yep.
So it was on this like private island,
Wow.
just off the coast of Miami. So we had to ride in on boats like early in the morning. All the artists and the audience arrived during the course of the day. But I was playing with Shaded and Mark Cool, and it was just this beautiful island. Everyone spent the entire day there. They had a great setup. It was all
Yeah.
filmed and like live streamed, and incredible artists. More like techno,
Hmm.
underground techno artists. Juliet
Yeah.
Fox was there too. Just really cool people, cool vibe.
Yeah.
and we
How
just
many?
spent the day
Yeah.
playing music, barbecuing.
Oh man, how fun is that? Was there a lot of people there at this event?
Yeah, there was, like, the boats had to bring the people,
Oh man, so that's
but
right. Yeah, you had to come in by boat. Oh jeez.
yeah, there was enough that it was because it was a private event, there was
Mhm.
enough that it was really fun,
Right. That'd
but
be kind
not
of
so
cool.
many that it was crowded, but that was definitely a highlight.
Yeah, no kidding.
So,
Oh
yeah.
man, that'd be great. I would like that's like almost up there with like DJing in Ibiza, in a
Mhm.
place where that is obviously my bucket list and trying to get out there and doing something out there. But yeah, I mean that is a cool event you did on Miami. So like it like just an island that private island that no one knows, or it is a private island, or was it like a destination place?
That I'm not too sure.
Gotcha,
I'm
gotcha. It
not too
sounds like a
sure.
private it does sound like a private island, which is kinda cool, so,
Yeah.
I'm glad you did that. I'm glad that's awesome. So when was your first gig you ever did?
My first gig I ever did was a music festival that Melly Fresh was organizing.
Ah, okay,
Yeah,
awesome.
it was a while back, but her son gave me a call and he was like, "Hey, my mom is having a festival, like, do you wanna play?" So, it was a really cool festival, like, way up north in Ontario. We had to take buses.
Jeez.
They they bussed everybody in, all the
Yeah,
artists and all
yeah,
the audience, so it was in the middle once again, the middle of nowhere,
yeah,
and it was, like, an amazing festival. I
yeah.
You'd have to ask her where the location was,
Hmm.
but there was, like, somewhere up north in Ontario.
Yeah, yeah, no kidding. That's actually kinda cool though, but
Yeah,
to bring everybody up by bus, that must have been that's like, that's super old school or pretty remote if you had to be up there by bus, right?
yes, absolutely, but, I mean,
Yeah,
it was back in the rave days, and in those days, we were still taking
yeah.
buses to the raves, you
Yeah, hey,
know?
listen, that's right. So, yeah,
That
you're
was the
probably what, 19, 20 years old at that time?
yeah.
Mm,
So, yeah, it was the time of the rave buses. You
yeah.
know, DJ Qbert would come in to play the raves, and you'd take
No way.
a bus somewhere to go to these, like, unknown rave places, so
Wow. Qbert. Oh my god, that guy's is that where your I guess, inspiration came for scratching?
some of it, yeah. The Qbert was definitely a huge influence for me. He was,
Right.
like, the first big DJ who I got to hang out with and, you know, he, like, put me on, so
He's a big deal, man. He's a very big deal.
actually, I have one more story. I have, like, a whole bucket of stories, but
Share it, man, share it.
so, another once in a lifetime crazy experience. I reached out to DJ Qbert, because at the time he had a couple female scratch DJs on his website, and I had met
Mhm.
him at a show in Toronto. And I was like, "Hey, Qbert, would you mind putting me on your website with the other female artists who they have?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, sure, no problem. And if you come out to San Francisco, you can be on my TV show."
Wow.
So
That's a big jump.
so right away I wrote him back. It's like, "Okay, well, I'm coming," right? And I told my mom, like, "Hey, mom, I'm gonna be on DJ Cubert's TV show." Like, she was like, "Well, you better bring your best clothes, hon." So anyway,
Oh, man.
I got myself together, and he was like I
Yeah.
was super trusting. He was like, call me when you're at the airport, I'll come and pick you up," right? So
That is so cool.
arrived at the airport in San Francisco, call up DJ Qbert. Lo and behold, Qbert shows up at the airport, and his license plate says like scratch on it. And I was like, this is so cool.
That is cool. That is so cool.
But wait, the
Oh,
story gets
man.
even better. So we go to his house
Hey.
and he's like, well, Sarah, there's one problem. I'm like, well, what's that? He's like, well, I haven't slept in several days, so I have to go to bed now. So we get to Qbert's house and the man crashes,
And
right?
he's done. He's gone. He's
Yeah,
sleeping.
just he told me, like, straight up, he's like, because he keeps such a crazy schedule, he
Yeah.
works for a long time, he doesn't sleep, so there I was in Cubert's house. I'm just like walking around, looking at the gold turntables. There's like a octagon of like all the
Wow.
turntables.
Right.
And, he was like, just, before I went to bed, he said, just wait a while, my butler will show up and like show you around San Francisco.
A butler. Wow.
It was
And
it was very surreal.
like you're alone in there and you sleep in. You're like, okay, I could look. The gold turntable's kind of cool. And did you start like getting on the records and start scratching or what?
Well, yeah, I was very respectful because number
Okay.
1, I'm in DJ Cubert's house, and like I don't
Hmm.
wanna break anything, right? There's nobody there's nobody else there.
Wow, that's cool.
So that
That's been a weird feeling though. That's a weird feeling.
it was very, it was a lovely house, it was a very
Yeah.
peaceful environment, and,
Yeah.
once the butler did arrive and we went to San Francisco and then but, like,
Butler.
other really cool people arrived, like, DMC world champions, would just
Wow.
come over to his house and they hung out with us and stuff, so
Yeah.
it was very, very cool. At the time, like, my DJ career hadn't really taken off yet, so that was a great start,
Yeah.
When you get those golden opportunities, you just have to hop on them.
Man,
So,
go for it. Exactly. Man,
yeah.
I'm glad you did that. I'm not worried about it. I mean, it's plus DJ Kubert is very well worldwide renowned. So, but just to be there, did his house? I saw a picture of like a window shot of his house from the area where his DJs. Is he like on a mountain side or something like that, or is he in the city?
Well, I'm not sure where, e exactly he's based
Yeah.
now, but yeah, San Francisco is a beautiful place.
Yeah, yeah, it
Yeah.
definitely is a beautiful city. Yeah, it is. It's changed over the years, but I tell you, I mean, it's hearing about it now is kind of crazy because of the COVID situation back then, and
Mhm.
it really made it really created a very very dangerous area in San Francisco. So you just got to know where you got to go. But other than that, it's still a beautiful city. California's beautiful, um, so I'm glad you got that opportunity, man. That's nuts. I know a lot of DJs that would like, you went to Cubert's place? What? It's he's a legend. So I'm glad you got to do that. And being a female DJ, and you talked about how I guess just difficult, being a female DJ or getting gigs and so forth. How has your experience as a female artist changed over time? Like, was it difficult as a female DJ to get gigs for yourself at when you started, or did it seem that it was good or easy because you were female? I'm trying to say, like, sometimes maybe being a female, you could you know get gigs a lot easier than guys can. I don't know, maybe you can shed some light on that.
You know what? I never thought about it when I started. There certainly wasn't a lot of female DJs. There's a lot more now, but when I started, there were very, very few. But
Yeah.
I never really thought about, "Oh, this is gonna be, more challenging or less challenging
Yeah.
because of my gender." It was just like I wanted to do this. This was my passion,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
And I'm very, very fortunate, I had a lot of family support, I still do,
Good.
to keep on moving forward in this,
Mhm.
and I never really thought twice about being a girl doing it,
Hmm.
because it was just something that I was doing
Right. Right.
regardless of anyone else around me, right? And I
Right.
still
Right.
feel exactly the same, There's still more guys than girls,
Of
on
course
the
there is.
DJ side, on the producer
Yes.
side, but I
Yeah.
never let that be a deterrent to work on
Mhm.
something that I am passionate about, and I don't
Right.
think anyone else, should either. There's certainly, being female, especially as you move forward, I think there's more things to take into consideration, right? When traveling, you need to be careful, or even just gigging locally, right? That you're
Right.
playing in, as anyone does, playing in an environment that is at least relatively safe. You need to be careful because you're going to be coming home at night. There
Mhm.
could be some characters around, right? You have a lot of expensive equipment. There's just
Mhm.
certain things that you need to be, aware of,
Sure.
right?
Exactly. Right.
You
Right.
know?
You said the magic word. You got to be aware of your surroundings. You can't be naive about the situation. People will take advantage of whatever they can take advantage of if you're not aware of it or not street smart about it. So
Mhm.
that's, I guess that's, you just have to be that, and it could be. It doesn't matter if it's a female or male DJs.
Yes.
We're finishing up parties at 3 4 in the morning, and no one's helping me lug any equipment back into my car or truck. I'm doing it myself. So like, you're outside and it's a sketchy area, you're like, shit, I got to get someone to give me a hand here, because this is, you got to be aware of the situation. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, what I was getting at, it was like, I wasn't trying to make it as a bad thing that because you're female you can get
Mhm.
the gigs easier. You're still hustling like anyone else is to get gigs, parties or whatever it may be, right? So it's do you have an agent that you work with, or is this all solo Sarah?
I've worked with agents over the years.
Mhm.
I'm not with an agency right now, but I trust the next one is on the way.
Good answer. That's awesome. I
Yeah,
like that.
it's about finding, I think, the right fit.
It is. It definitely is. You have to have that person or that agent has to, or that agency has to think exactly what you think, not just, you know, okay, the money's got to be there, but it's got to be worth it. But they have to sort of just be on your side and think like you in a party. Would this fit for this person, this person? Of course. So I guess you just got to sit there and you just make sure you get the right one.
Yes, yeah, it's like anything else, right? You don't
Right.
have to take the first agent who approaches you, but you
Right.
need to find the right one, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, so how have you adapted to the digital landscape of the music industry? You played vinyl, real vinyl, and so now everything's pretty much going digital. I mean, we still like to play with vinyl, and you do have more digital equipment, more digital, I guess, equipment that's happening, that's easier to use to play. How have you adapted to that digital landscape?
Well, I think it's important to stay current with future times. That's the least you can do,
Right.
right? And I think you need to change with the times and even change ahead of them, right? So it's important to keep updated with new technology,
Mhm.
right? I'm definitely a person who likes to try new things.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
when vinyl was still around, I think I was one of the first DJs to be on Tractor Scratch. I heard about that almost as soon as it came out, and I remember gigging with it, and, like, I used to take a lot of flack, for bringing my computer. People, they really resisted digital
Wow.
software when it was first being used,
Hmm.
and this was kind of before even the CDJs were in vogue in clubs, but nowadays it's very much the norm for everybody to be playing digital files. So,
Right.
me,
Right.
myself, I like to think, about the future,
Mhm.
right? And try new things, be open to trying new things, new
Sure.
new business ideas,
Right. Right.
because the world is constantly evolving,
100%.
right?
100%. 100% on that. You touch a good point where it's like, and I never experienced that whole aspect of Serato. I mean, I love Tractor. I started off with Tractor. I think it's great when I was playing vinyl with Tractor, but I never had that situation where people were resistant of like, how come you're doing this with records and a laptop? And I never seen that. Why are you doing that? And it was always like, we would carry around crates of records that we brought over and to our gigs. But I went from the records, the old school real vinyl, to playing on Serato or Tractor record box now. Later on in life, so that transition of like people being shocked is, I never experienced that. So you experienced that beginning moments of when the transition started, and seeing people going, what are you doing, right? How can you make that? How does that happen?
Yeah, but whenever something new comes into the world, that's people's automatic reaction, right? It's
Right,
like,
right.
we don't like this. It's different, right? It means
Exactly.
we have to change. We have to change the
Yeah.
way we do things, and people don't always like change, right? So,
Right.
but if you're
Right.
open-minded and you embrace the new tools, right? As they come out, like these days we have so many cool different ways to, I think, promote ourselves as artists, online. There's like it's like a big blank canvas, right? Like
Hmm.
what are you going to fill it with? What are you going to fill the internet with, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Good way
So,
to think. Good way to see that. Every year there's always, or like every, during the course of the year, there's always this new technology that comes out with digital and music, and just like, people, you can actually have a small controller and carry it around to small little gigs, and it will do, it's very powerful. But perception, people obviously, they don't want to see a DJ come with a small little controller, and then just, think that they're going to be this great DJ. I guess what I'm trying to say is that people think if you're a DJ, you must have all this massive equipment and big speakers and turntables or a big controller, whatever. But um, I don't know. I mean, like, I just think that if you can play great music, doesn't matter what equipment you have, you play great music and you got the dance floor filled and you're having a great time with it. That's all that matters to me. To me, that's all that matters,
mhm.
right? So that's the way I look at it, especially with digital. I got, going into digital, I transitioned into digital, and it was kind of a shocker for me because I thought, why am I going digital? Why this is not real? Like, this is, I'm running, like, my studios. I run a DJSZ for when I go to gigs, and I mean, it looks like two CDJs. It's still powerful, but I was like, I was hesitant at first because I don't know. I thought, if you're a DJ, you got to play vinyl. You got to play vinyl. But I guess, as you were saying, adjust with the times that are coming up, because it's going to change and evolve a lot more than what we see now, right? So people DJ off Spotify. I mean, like, not saying Spotify being or Beat Source. Like, sometimes you can get a playlist off of those and add it to your laptop, to your controller. It's like there's so many things going. Like, you can make things happen digitally. So yes, you're right. Everything's evolving, and we got to join in with those times. Unfortunately, fortunately, we have. If you have the ability to do that, then let's do it. Right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
I mean, streaming has already come into DJing, right? Like not just people streaming online, I'm talking about streaming from different platforms,
right.
right? SoundCloud, and I'm looking forward to seeing what's happening now and what's going to happen in the next couple years, because I see that integration, becoming more and more widely
Oh yeah,
accepted, right?
yeah, for sure, for sure. And also, you have softwares that like Serato, that pull stems out and vocals apart. Out of, you can do an acapella in seconds with Serato. It is crazy what DJs are doing, and that's pretty much what I see online now. Is a lot of DJs that are taking an acapella with a different beat, putting in the background, creating mashups. It's great, but to me, it's like I see so many of them coming out doing that. Like, I don't know. It is, yes, it's creative, but is it creative enough that that people are gonna dance to that? I don't know. People like to hear it because it's creative, and you just hear maybe, like, 20 seconds of it, and it's like, oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's cool. But you think you can actually make that work in a song that people are going to go in the dance floor going, oh my god, this is crazy. I don't know, but it's great that the ability of having stems is, in your line, because you do a ton of production. That is a very, important, significant for music production, is to get all that, you know, I guess the stems of it. But when it comes to acapellas and beats, is that something that you work with more on your software, or do you like it's not something that you're there with yet?
Oh, yeah, no, for sure I can work with acapellas. I don't do or haven't done yet like a ton of remixes,
Yeah.
but you can use like a software like RipX
Okay.
is a good one. There's a lot of stem separation softwares out there, but yeah, to pull in acapella and then to put it on top of something.
Yeah. It's kind of cool,
So,
but it's just I don't know. Remixes are great, but sometimes you just want to, you can just, and a lot of DJs that I find now, especially if you're doing like maybe wedding DJs or DJing theme parties where the songs are not the entire song, maybe a couple choruses, and they'll mix it into the next song type of thing. Are you
mhm.
finding that that is your style as well? That, I guess it depends on the party, but I find myself doing that as well. Is that something that you do as well when you're DJing?
Well, that's Canadian club DJing, right? It's like that's more, I would say, definitely like more North American style of like, fast club mixing. Attention
Gotcha.
spans are getting shorter, right?
Right.
And especially if you're playing music with a slower BPM, you need to keep the energy up on the dance floor
Right.
somehow. So if you're playing a lot of hip hop, that's how you keep the energy on your dance floor is you play verse chorus.
Right.
So I
Verse
would say
chorus.
it depends on it certainly depends on the type of party. If you catch me playing like a techno set, I'm more mixing together the
Uh,
different songs. I can mix up to 4 different tracks,
nice.
using my software, so it's more using bits and pieces,
Right.
right?
Right.
But I can
Right.
also
Right.
do like the club style mixing as well, where it's shorter blends.
Right. Shorter blends. You said you said it perfectly where the attention span, um, you know, not in a negative way, but some people are thinking, "Oh my God, the song's dragging on,
Mhm,
change it up." Right? That's it. And I find myself when I'm DJing parties at a local bar, it's like it'll just be verse, chorus, mix it, blend it in, and especially like you said, hip hop. You can't play a whole hip hop song because unless there are some 90s hip hop, old school hip hop that you can play the whole entire song, but then there's somewhere it's like, you know what, we need to get this thing going, right? So you got to change it up a little bit,
mhm.
and same with if you're going to mix reggae. Usually reggae, I think to me started off where it was a fast mix in reggae because reggae's beats is it's consistent with the drums, with the hats, and with it, where their instruments are. You can blend pretty quickly and pretty fast with a lot of different tracks, so, and I'm a huge fan of reggae, and I love reggae. I just love live music, and I love when I see that live. It's mind-blowing. And you do play the guitar, correct? You still play a musical instrument?
Yeah.
Awesome. And do you incorporate that into your any of your music sets, or sorry, your music production?
My music production, yes. My live sets, not yet.
No. Yeah, I didn't mean
We'll
to say it
see.
that way.
Well, we'll see, but yeah, certainly on a lot of my tracks, you can hear guitar. A lot of my collaborations with Desire and some of my other tracks, I've also done some, I guess, more experimental stuff where it's like rock and techno music.
Right, right.
So yeah, I've played guitar on a lot of my tracks.
Yeah, I've heard a couple of them before. And have you mixed rock, like electric guitar with techno music?
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
That'd be a cool vibe. I'd like to. That'd be kind of cool to hear more of. Get that cool techno beat, and you just got that. The six string in the background, just playing away. I think that'd be kind of cool.
It's a new idea. You just have to, feed it to people, and
Yeah.
techno people don't always like the electric guitar though, that's the thing.
Oh yeah, is that what it is? Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, people who like electronic music tend not to like rock so much.
Mm,
You'll find this if you talk to your friends who like electronic music, so you have to find some people who are Truly open-minded to appreciate it.
Make the change, Sarah. Make the change. Bring it on, man. You got to do that. That'd be kind of cool. I like that. How has working with particular artists or bands, you know, informed your creativity? Like, how do they, some of the artists that you work with, inspired you to be creative?
Well, I mean, you learn something different from everyone you
Yeah.
work with, right? So if I find someone intriguing and I have time, I'll reach out to them and ask if they want to make something with, make a
Right.
collaboration track.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
always learn something different from every person, right? Because you're going to
Right.
find they all work in a different way. They have something different to offer,
For
you know,
sure.
and you try to collab with people who you're compatible with, but who are also a little bit different than you.
Mm, right. Yeah, I guess you're right about that. It is finding that right person, or the right, like, for me on the production side, I've never really got into it, so I don't have anybody who really, that I can really say, you know what, I want to get a production because of this person or
Mhm.
that person. I never really got into it. I just want to be taught the basics of it. But for DJs, is like, I love what you said. I love just feeding off people that are intriguing, that have a different style, or they could be more of a mentor type of thing, and learn from that. And I know they're out there, but music producers, who's what one of your favorite music producers out there right now today?
My favorite producers?
Yeah.
Eli Brown.
Eli Brown. Okay.
Eli Brown. I like Eli Brown. I like Calvin Harris. I like, Martin Vurak, famous ghost producer.
Like your accent there. I like it.
Yeah, I like Charlotte DeWitt's tracks a lot too. I like
Okay.
the sound design in her tracks, but
Yep.
right now, definitely Eli Brown. I think a lot of
Awesome.
people would agree with me on that.
No question about it. Have you ever reached out to him and said, "Hey, listen, let's do a collab of some sort"?
No, 'cause my production skills are not at his level quite yet. If
Oh.
you give me another year,
Well, I'm glad you want to
if
make yourself perfect before you go and do that. That's good.
yeah, well, Eli Brown is on his 2nd career right now because he had a 1st career in drum and bass, and now
Oh,
he's on
wow.
his 2nd career in, like, house music, so
Yeah. That's a big step. That's a big step. Drum and bass. Are you into drum and bass at all?
I started off in drum and bass. I'm sitting beside a drum and bass collection, actually, a drum and bass record collection. So, yeah,
Nice.
I started off with that sound. Toronto had a very, very big drum and bass scene. We had the
Mm.
2nd biggest drum and bass scene in the world. Yeah,
Oh, I
these
didn't know
days
that.
yeah, London was number 1, Toronto was number 2.
Wow.
And I don't follow the genre, so much anymore, but there was a
Hmm.
big period of time where I certainly spent a lot of time listening to, trying to mix and jamming to drum and bass records.
Yeah. And that's a fast beat. What's the BPMs on a typical drum and bass track?
Like 160.
Holy shit! It's that's a great workout. A great workout set you can make. For being at the gym. But man, that's crazy fast. Like,
Yeah, it's high it's beautiful music.
oh,
It's high energy.
it's huge, high energy for sure. Hmm. Well, I mean, like, do you still, obviously, you will DJ drum and bass sets, or just you're not there? Okay.
No. No, I really haven't DJ'd a drum and bass set for a very, very
Yeah.
long time.
um, who has been the most influential producer for you in terms of creative inspiration? Would it be Eli Brown?
No, it would be, my mentor, Martin.
Okay.
Yeah, he's definitely one of the most, influential. Also, Anna and Weba.
Oh, I never heard that name
Anna
before.
and they're Brazilian producers.
Oh man, that's beautiful music comes out of Brazil.
Yeah, and I had another friend of mine, John Lamagna, who taught me a lot about production as well. And he works in um, a very cool kind of creative way. So he certainly inspired me a lot with his studio mastery.
What sort of cool creative way does he do? What does he do that you're like, oh, man, this is great?
He makes a mess.
I love that. He makes a mess.
He makes a mess and it sounds friggin' amazing. It's like, I don't know how
That's
else to
awesome.
explain it. It's like a chef who's like throwing the pots and pans all over the kitchen.
That's a perfect way to say it. Exactly.
But
He's like a
like
chef.
the meal you're gonna get at the end is like the best, one of the
Yeah,
best you've ever had in your life. But like,
that's
if you
cool.
try to go back and like reverse engineer the recipe,
It'll be worse. You can't do it. You can't do it.
well, if you pick up a couple tips, then your
Yeah.
cooking skills improve, right?
Fair
So,
point. Fair
but I
point.
I certainly I learned a lot of techniques from Martin Vorak starting
Okay.
off, and I was lucky to attend a lot of his workshops. So
Oh, excellent.
I think a lot of my workflow and techniques really come from him.
Mm,
So, and
excellent.
if anyone is interested, he has a wonderful production ebook out there. He has actually two. So
What sort of website can they find him at?
I think
And we could put it
Vorak.
we could put it up afterwards, but
Okay. Yeah, we can post the link. Hold on, let
yeah.
me look up. I'm pretty sure his book is on Amazon. Vorak Tip of
Oh,
the Week: The Ultimate Handbook to Becoming a Successful Music Producer.
wow. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll find that link and I'll throw it up on the podcast when it airs. That'd be kind of cool for sure. I'm sure
Okay.
everyone would love to do that. But obviously, you are into music production and you teach it. So you
Yes.
know, I want everyone to understand that if you are getting into music production and you are, you know, thinking about it or want to do it, they should just reach out to you and talk to you about it and get you on your program. I mean, that's ideally what I'd like to see, just newcomers, because there's a lot of newcomer DJs and producers out there, like a lot of them. And to me, when I was interviewing a couple of young DJs and producers, they had a hard time dealing with which direction they should turn to. You know, so I know it's a new question, but I mean, like, what would be your thoughts if a DJ who wants to become a producer, they're dabbling in both, what should they focus more on first in order to make one work better than the other or work together?
Well, the first thing is you need to decide what your goal is, right?
Right.
Because if you see yourself in the future, if you want to play at any of the big festivals,
Mhm.
Ultra Music Festival, EDC, Awakenings,
Yeah.
Creamfields, if that is your dream, you're gonna have to produce your own music,
Gotcha.
right?
Gotcha.
Or get someone else to do it for you, but you're gonna
Yeah.
have to have a body of work, right? If you get
Right.
there without that, you're like, a unicorn,
You
right? You're a unicorn. But these
politely say
days,
unicorn.
right? That's the reality. Everyone is obsessed with the DJ as artists.
Hmm.
Right? So, if you want to play local gigs, you want to play at your bar, you want to play some of the hottest clubs in town, you don't necessarily need to have your own productions, but you need to
Right.
have a really solid network of people so you can
Right.
focus on developing your craft as a DJ, right? Networking with promoters,
Hmm.
right? If you want to play on the radio, that's a different career path as well. If
Right.
you want to play wedding gigs or do mobile gigs, you don't necessarily need to have your own productions. You need to focus on finding your clients,
Right. That's right.
right? So first thing is figure out what you want. There's
Hmm.
not It's not a one goal for everyone because everyone's different,
Right.
right? So if you have a better idea of what you want to do, with your art and your
Yeah.
sounds,
Yeah.
then you can figure out the next steps. But certainly working
Yeah.
with someone to help you gain some clarity on that. Like I offer artist coaching and also DJ and producer coaching. right?
Excellent.
So,
See,
yeah,
I
so
love that. I love that.
once you know kind of what you want, you can create a path to get
Mhm.
there,
Okay.
right?
That's cool. No, I like that. It's exactly what I've told the two cats that I've been talking to. I did and on my podcast. I think maybe 3 4 months ago. Two young DJs, and actually G Money's daughter. She's one of them that she came up. She was really into DJing. Her dad taught her a lot of things. I taught her what she should know. Matt, who started off as DJing because of just learning from me, came to my studio and we're just talking and basically said, okay, what what's your goal? What do you want to do? If DJing is what you want to do and you want to play at a club or you want to play at even big parties, like massive parties, you're going to need to obviously create a network. You need to do this and do that. I totally get it, but I could feel the passion that he wanted because he does production now. He went to Metalworks, so he went there and did a complete courses on music production and created like a little thing in his studio, and now he's having fun doing more production stuff. So it's like, but he doesn't know which direction he wants to go because he's having fun doing both. And it's like, okay, man, you gotta just not say pick one, but if you're doing music production and you are a producer, you can still the DJ side of things will still be there. You can still do that, right? So I think production might get you a little bit further or ahead of the game of what's out there, especially in the networking industry. If you're created this killer track and it gets out there, it's going to get out there. Being a DJ, you got to hustle yourself or you need to have an agency do that for you. And that's tough, right? So I think it's a big step being a producer to get yourself in a certain, you know, different element or different realm of what you want to do. So, and I get it, but I think they're both exciting. I never really got into production because I was always like, I'm going to mix music and just mix music, not make music. Now as I'm getting older, I'm like, this sounds great with this. You can play around with this and do that. And I'm like, shit, I should have started this years ago. Like, as someone who's old like me in his 50s, can they get into music production?
Absolutely. Yeah, you can get into music as long as you can hear, you can make music, right?
I put my fucking hearing aid on. As long as I can hear music, I can do it, right?
No, you're never too old to learn anything. It depends 100% on your discipline,
Right. Yep.
right?
Right.
And your willingness, are you willing to learn something new, right?
Right. Right.
And even for
Yeah.
a producer to become a successful producer, right? It's like, are you willing to learn to work more efficiently,
Yeah. 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 No, you're right. You're right. I
So,
just thought, I mean, you never, ever, ever too old to do anything as long as you just put your time and effort into it. Totally get it. I just thought, you know, I've never done music production. You know, old guy in his 50s, like, should he get into it? Nah. What's that gonna do for you? I mean, it's I don't know. It's more of like, if I want to do it, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to call you to do it. So you're going to help me do it. So I think that I think everyone who is trying to or wants to dabble in music production or even like getting into remixes, because obviously when you're remixing on the fly, you're not recording it. You're just on the fly. You're making it sound great. But what if you're like, oh my god, what did I do that? How did I make that happen last time? Well, at least on a screen you can make it happen, and you can set you can map it out and create that remix, and that's part of music production. Is part of what you would teach someone to do as well, correct?
absolutely, yeah. And I think it's different when when you're producing a remix in a DAW, as opposed to
Right,
when you're mixing together 2 tracks. You can get a good
right,
idea for what might
right,
sound good together, but then if you want to actually print that into an audio file, right, you need to kind of reverse engineer what you've done in a DAW,
right.
right? And
In a
that's
DAW.
also a great way to get a name as a DJ. That's how David Guetta started off, right? Making mashups.
Right. Exactly. You're absolutely right. And just so people know out there, what is DAW? Just if you can if you can let people know
Oh,
what that is.
so that's Digital Audio Workstation,
Gotcha.
DAW,
Okay. So that's because I had to think about. I had to actually look that up recently. To like, what the hell is DAW? And it's like, oh
a
yeah,
DAW.
now I know. Now I know.
Yeah.
what what tips would you do you have for aspiring DJs and producers?
What tips do I have for aspiring DJs
Yeah.
and
Yeah, like
producers?
what tips would you give them, like, you know, like growing up as a DJ or a producer, were they, we talked about, what's their goal and where they want to go with, but what tips would you give them
Yeah.
to help them get to that next level?
Find your sound, first of all. You know, like what kind of music do you like? What's your
Right.
sound? What are you gonna focus in on?
Yeah.
Right?
When you said find your sound, um, I had Lenny Fontana on my show, and amazing cat to talk to, and he's more of a disco house style sound. And I guess that's what you mean, right? Like, what's your sound that you want to keep, I guess, consistent with all your mixes, I guess, right?
Yeah. Yeah, what's your sound? That's the number one, right? Like, what's the music you like? What style do you like? What artist do you like? What labels do you like? So find that first because that helps you understand, I think, yourself better, right?
Right. Right.
As a DJ, as an artist, because you can only really do one sound at a time, right? Like maybe
I
maybe
know.
over your career you can do several sounds,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
what kind of sound do you want to make, right? And then you need to, if you want to create that sound, start learning about like how do I make this sound,
Right. Right.
right?
If
And
somebody wanted to, not to cut you off, but if somebody wanted to, like, when you said about that, and like, say for instance, we know a lot of DJs and producers that create a beautiful Afro beats, house music style of genre, or subgenre. I don't know how you want to call it, but I guess you just, and that's their typical sound, is like that person is an Afro, or tribal house DJ, has those, can make those, like, I guess, digital production equipment like Ableton and the other ones that are out in the market. Can they create all those different sounds, like different drums? Or do you have to get those drums that are, sometimes you have to get those files, I guess, from the internet or somewhere to bring them in, or can
yeah,
you create
yeah,
those?
well, I mean, of course you can make your own sounds, but it's good to have samples from sample packs, right?
Right.
And then you can add sound design on top of that. But
Gotcha.
also, more just advice is find someone to work with, right? Find a
Right.
mentor to work with, on the
That's
DJing
good.
side or the production side who's been in
Yeah.
the industry for a while and really has your best interests at heart, wants to help you out, right?
Right. Right.
And work with them,
Hmm.
right?
I think that's probably almost number one up there, is to find someone to work with instead of trying to do it yourself, because you're just going to spend so much time, and you'll probably be frustrated because you overanalyze it and you overthink it, and just like, that other
Yeah.
person, or that other eyes and ears would be that person saying, oh no, man, stick with that, work with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. I think that's it's got to be number one on that, up there for sure.
Yeah. And then build your network, right? Make friends in the scene,
Yeah.
get out
Yeah.
there, right?
Yeah,
Find your
for sure.
people, right?
Right. Whether you like them or not, that's part of networking, and it's got to be up there. You got to connect with them. And I mean, social media is huge on making connections, or just, emails. But I mean, I guess you're right. Make the connection create a network. I actually keep a spreadsheet of networking of the DJs that I network with. And in that columns, I'll have different columns about, the type of genre to deal with, or, easy to talk to, or, that sort of stuff. Like, I make notes of everything, because you never know. Like, you don't know in your head how everyone's going to be or react to you, right? So I kind of just, it's just my own thing. I'm a notes guy. I'm a list guy. I always keep like everything on a spreadsheet, like of DJs and producers that are cool, great, not so cool, whatever it may be. But at least you build that network and you grow with that and you keep going
Mhm.
with it, right? So that's good. I mean, I am totally stoked about finding out a lot about you that in this almost been an hour, which is great. We said, well, let's keep it 30 minutes, we'll get right to it, but it's great. I mean, I love talking to you. You're an awesome person to talk to. You've got a wealth of knowledge in music production and DJing, and I guess in just in the coaching side. And Sarah, where can they find you online?
So you can certainly get in touch with me through my website. I have a contact form there. So
Okay.
sarasims.com/contact. If you just go to my site there.
Right.
Now you can
Right.
also get in touch with me through Instagram, through my Facebook page. My Facebook DMs are still open.
Okay.
So
So you're on there, like you're active in seeing your DMs pretty quick, or
yes, I do try, but I'm a bit faster with email. So
and if you don't mind, I will put your email out there if that's cool.
yes, yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so I'll have everything on the bottom of the screen, whether it's here or whether on her side. I'll have the bottom of the screen where you can find Sarah Sims online. It has been awesome to chat with you, Sarah, and I'm super stoked that you came on my podcast just to talk about your brand, your business, and is there any last thing you want to talk about? Like, you want to put a plug in what you do, of what of anything you want to talk about on your side of things?
Sure, absolutely. Well, my number one is I'm a DJ and electronic music producer. I travel around the world performing sets, so certainly open for bookings. I also work together with up and coming DJs and producers as an artist coach. So if you're looking to get into production or you want to finish off a track or really me and we can get on some calls. So you can
Perfect. That's good. No, that's awesome. I mean, I think that you have a niche. You are great at what you do, and I'm going to try to push everyone to your direction as much as I can. So we all help each other out in the sense of like networking, which we're doing, and I think there's more of it, and I wish you nothing but the best in
Oh,
the
thanks
coming
so
future.
much. Well, thank you.
and and I hope you had a great time tonight. I mean, it went by pretty fast, and having fun chatting and talking about and catching up and talking about what you got going in the future. So, are there any new projects you're working on that you can share with us, or you want to just wait till it comes out?
So I have a lot of new projects I'm working on for my label Symmetry Sounds. I
Okay.
have some new artists who I've been working with who I am really excited about their work and projects. So I
Nice.
don't want to announce them quite yet
I get it. I
because we're
get
still in kind of the birthing process for a lot
it.
of these projects and releases, but I
Right.
am super, excited to be working with new Canadian talent on some records.
Awesome
So,
stuff, Sarah. That's fantastic. Listen, I appreciate you coming on and sharing, your life, your situation of work and business and branding, which I love. I'm a huge business guy. I love talk about branding and business and just meeting entrepreneurs. You're an entrepreneur, and I think it's great. So, Sarah, thank you so much for coming on board tonight. Um, and thank you for everyone to stop on by the Noisy Chair podcast and sit down with myself and Sarah Sims. And Sarah, thank you so much, and maybe follow up next time, and we'll see where you're at and see how much you've grown even more. So thank you so much for tonight.
well, thank you for having me on the Noisy Chair podcast. Great to
Awesome.
chat with you.
Oh man, it's always great to chat with you. Thank you so much, everyone, for stopping by, and we will see you next time. Thank you.